Advancing Prefab videos are sponsored by Mandeville Modular, Inc., Premier Manufacturing.
You know, there are companies that work both nationally and internationally, and there are so many differences when you're working in those two different businesses and collaborating. And I think it's got to be even harder when you're doing modular construction. But then again, I don't really know. So today we are here with Heith Bibby, and he is with Mandeville Modular. Heith, how are you today?
Excellent. Yourself?
I'm so good.
Awesome.
Heith has a factory in California. It's a steel frame factory, but he has 30 years of experience, right?
Yes.
30 years of experience. That's
been
a long
minute.
time.
Yeah, I'm kind of aging myself, but yeah.
No, you're not. You're still young. But I would love to get your perspective, because I know that you have worked nationally. I know you've worked all over the country, and then you've worked internationally. So
Correct.
Let's start with the international. Tell us maybe about some projects, and then talk about like what you really learned about that. So
for us, the islands, Bahamian islands, that's been an area that we've done some projects. It's been fun. It's a little challenging sometimes with the labor end of it, some of the code compliance issues, but the joy of actually getting over that hurdle and getting that project done has been amazing. Some of the logistics have been somewhat of a nightmare at times, but it's just, you know, if you're going to establish international, you have to be focused and determined that you're going to do international. So let's set these up for the long term, not just the one-off projects that you're going to do international. It's a huge commitment. So you really have to put some effort into it and planning that out. And that's some of the pitfalls that we've come across internationally. Well, but then there's the benefit, because you got to go out there, right? Yes. You got to explore the land. There are benefits. There are benefits, you know. Nothing like being in a nice, beautiful place. Oh my gosh, yes, definitely. And you get to see different things. I think the wonderful thing about international is that it is unique. Yes. Of course there's going to be challenges. Let's just say this. Anything in construction is never easy, my goodness. Right? Yes, 100%. Like 200,000 pieces and parts into homes, into buildings and all of that. And there's always going to be something that you're going to solve. Correct. So when you were looking at these clients and you were thinking about this project, why did you decide to do it? What was the reason behind it? I have this kind of, sometimes to me, it's like this internal annoying desire to challenge myself on a constant basis. So whether it's a project that others said couldn't be done, or just a select few said it could be done, or there are limits to doing that project to get it done, I would always challenge myself to show that we don't have a limit, we can get it done. And that's really the crux of it, that I decided, let's take this on and just do it. It's the can-do attitude. Yeah, pretty much. That's it. You are the can-do attitude. Well, I try. So we've talked about the international. Are there specific building codes, like when you were looking and researching it, do they have like different permitting? Do they have building codes? Like, what about the technology part of, like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like the technical part of that build. So, you know, they're more rudimentary in regards to some of their building methodology. They follow a lot of international codes, but it's the actual geographical location you really have to be cognizant of. Anytime you're working in the Caribbean, it's the hurricanes, the moisture in the air, the mold, the mildew. So your building materials that technically in some areas, you know, like in Arizona, we wouldn't worry about that. You know, in the Caribbean, then you have to worry about components like that. So it changes your building dynamic, the materials that you're going to utilize, and some of the engineering that has to go into those. And it was interesting because we actually had a conversation with another client, and you were talking about like powder coating some of the steel. Right. And why would you do something like that? So if you have those climates, I mean, even in, you know, Hawaii, for example, where we have the ocean air, if you're building something in those islands, or ocean air is always impacting steel. So any steel that's exposed, we would put a powder coat on there to ensure that the salt in the air will not deteriorate that metal over a period of time. So we go that extra mile to ensure that when we're telling you we're building you a better building, we're truly building you a better building. When we say we're going to stand behind our building for X amount of years, we do that knowing that we've taken that extra care to protect every component within that building system. That's beautiful.
So we were talking about powder coating. When you design and build your product overseas, then you also have the component of shipping materials there.
Correct.
How was that experience?
Well, we've partnered with some distributors and manufacturers that they will actually drop ship that material for us. So it's all about, partners that you have, these long-term relationships. And I'm a firm believer of building relationships and building them for the long term. And they're understanding that your commitment is long-term. So they're willing to go that extra mile to ensure your success is their success. If you're successful in that project, there's potential in other projects. So for them, they see the benefit of being a partner to help you succeed.
And it's like all those little steps you start learning and getting better at, right?
Correct. There's always a learning curve.
There's always a learning curve.
Yes.
It's funny when I think about my days of building, I built 5 homes in 20 months. And from the very first one to the very last one, we were super efficient. And we had our team members in place. Is that kind of the same thing it has been for you?
Pretty much. It's been the exact same thing. You learn from the first one, realize the mistakes. Your team realizes what could have been done better, how they could have performed better. A better partner or an additional partner, someone that claims they're a partner but really didn't do as much lifting as they say they would and kind of let you down. And and that happens. That's the construction industry. That's the development industry. So understanding those and preparing sooner to then come up with scenarios. If this fails or if this supply doesn't reach, what's going to be our backup plan? And those are the lessons you learn from previous mistakes.
So let's now shift into the national market, the United States market. And let's talk about when you are putting a project together, talk me through like state permitted plans, municipality and the code. What are those kind of things that you look for, now being in the industry, that you certainly walk into and allow the client to know as well?
Yeah, so for us, modular, we get state review and state approval. Some towns will require city review, even though it's been state reviewed. So we always educate the client as to every step that goes along. We always encourage the client to allow us not just to build and design the modular portion of the design, but to be a part of the entire project design. And what that means, there's no disconnect from the modular design to the site-built portion. And we let them realize that you're building in efficiencies by doing that. Instead of having 2 architects, if you have 1 architect, the collaboration is much smoother. 1 engineer instead of 2 engineers, the collaboration is much smoother. So that's what we educate the client to get to understand. We also go a step further. If we're going into a town and a city that's never done modular, we will clearly put delineation. And what that means is we'll show what's state reviewed and approved, what's city reviewed and approved, and how those two kind of commingle. And we'll walk that city through that process and get that city comfortable with what we're presenting to them and showing them how we went through that step so they understand that we did not miss a step. We're not trying to pull a fast one on them. So we want to be 100% transparent in everything we do in that process.
I think that's really big because there are a lot of cities and municipalities that have never worked in modular construction.
Yes.
We're always in that form of education. And I love that you guys take that extra step because really what you're doing is you're improving a method for them so that the next modular builder or the next person that's going to be bringing this type of product, they actually are now clued in. Like
Correct.
They feel comfortable
Correct.
with it.
Yeah.
How many times have you done that?
Quite a few. I was fortunate to be a part of the first and largest modular build in the city of Los Angeles. And what that exposed me to was, one, the city did not really understand modular, even though they were embracing modular, full steam ahead. Mm-hmm. The building inspector, Dan, really great guy. I would walk him through the process, even though there's some areas that he did not need to see based on what the permit card said and inspection definition said. I would still allow him to see those components and understand what we did, how we did it, so that he would make more sense of how modular truly interacts with your traditional stick-built component. And that was something I really enjoyed because I believe educating people on the process of modular is going to allow this industry to grow.
I think the other really wonderful thing about your factory is you've had a lot of municipalities, you've had like governors come
Yes.
in, you've had a lot of people want to know.
Yes, we have. We've had, from the state of Hawaii, the governor's right-hand man and his assistant. We were fortunate to have them come to our factory, sit down, educate them about what we can do, and how our building envelope would benefit them in the long term. I mean, not rebuilding something that's susceptible to natural disasters that Lahaina unfortunately experienced, but putting something in place that would still respect the character of architecture that island loves to display, but then putting something in place that we don't have that susceptibility to those natural disasters anymore.
I have to say, that is what truly makes you so unique, is that there is so much more thought behind the project. And so that is really great, because that is the way that we should be building. And I also love that your product is sustainable.
Yes, it is. We I don't consider myself just this green guy and always wanting to, push these green initiatives, but I do believe in our planet. I do believe in making, even if it's on my own small contribution to that, recycled components within our building system, and not impacting the environment, using material that doesn't have off-gassing, that doesn't also affect our environment. I have grandkids. I want to see them grow up and enjoy this world just like I have been blessed to do. So that's why we do our part to build, a really, really healthy building as well too. Understanding that what we build, it's already on its path to LEEDs, and people strive to get a LEED certified building, and we build with that methodology in mind already. Whether the client wants it or not, we're going to build you a healthy building.
I love that. And I think that's where we all need to be headed. We have to start thinking about the next generation while we're building these buildings, because
Definitely.
I think long ago, it wasn't really that way.
Correct.
And
Yep.
so we are the next generation
Yes.
builder, and you certainly are with steel frame modular systems. Well, thank you for being here and sharing
Thank you.
this information. I think it's super valuable that our industry starts learning from you and from others that are doing things the right way.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
And that's the dirt on Offsite Dirt. Check out Mandeville Modular. Heith, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me as well.